Our special guest today is the voice of the LSU Tigers, Chris Blair, who is going to join us to talk to us a little bit about the LSU Tigers and the kickoff dinner for the Independence Bowl that's happening tonight. We'll be out there. Chris is going to be doing the Q&A with Devin White, while I'll be doing the MC work for the thing. And the good news is because they brought in a professional like Blair, I don't have to do the Q&A. And someone actually asked me, they said, well, wait, are you upset that you don't get to do the Q&A and the MC work? I go, of course not. It's less work for me. And in the end, whatever's less work for me is what I'm all about. That's what I would much rather have happen, is less work for me. So the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, is in studio. By the way, welcome to our palatial studios here at 1130 The Tiger, where we get to hear your dulcet tones every fall and spring and winter. It's this is quite a place, isn't it?
No, it really is nice.
Yeah,
Actually, I was going to tell you, it's very reminiscent of like a man cave. So I like what you've done with it.
I'm going
to take umbrage with you a little bit. I think you got the hard job. The whole time driving up yesterday, I thought, man, all I got to do, I got to get up there like 20 minutes, ask Devin a few questions.
Right.
Patrick's got to carry the show, get everybody up and down. I've got the easy job.
No, let me tell you, my job is the easiest job there is. Just have to read a script, introduce some people, get out of the way. That's all I have to do, and that's the way I like it.
Hey, by the way, I wanted to check with you guys. You guys okay? Everybody okay?
From
Twitter's down.
Yeah, I saw that.
Twitter's down since since 1:45. I mean, it's
Rogers. So Rogers has. If you follow Rogers on Twitter, and because we were all on the Brando show together, he has. He has 4-digit followers, right? He's got like 1,400 followers or something, way more than he deserves. But Rogers' Twitter feed works like this: he retweets things. He never offers his own content at all. It's all retweets of Mike the Tigers account, LSU, Houston Rockets, Houston Astros, Houston Texans, New Orleans Saints, and then if there's rock things like Kiss, his favorite band is Kiss, or other, if Ace Frehley is having a show somewhere on his own, that's Rogers' entire Twitter account.
Well, I like that because you've got plausible deniability. All you got to say is I didn't write it. I didn't retweet it, and I liked it, but I didn't write. I didn't come up with it.
But I feel like he needs to have one of those disclaimers. Retweets are not endorsements.
Probably.
He probably needs something like that.
You don't want Ace Frehley or Gene Simmons to sue you, so you better be careful.
No,
and they will.
Oh yeah, he knows that. Yeah, matter of fact, he's even got his Spaceman Pop Funko right here.
Yeah.
Jacob Hester's brother Adam actually brought.
So I got to ask you, because I'm a huge Kiss fan too.
Yeah.
So who's your favorite?
Ace Frehley.
Okay.
Yeah, he's an Ace Frehley guy.
I play drums. So Peter's mine.
Yeah.
Peter got the shaft.
Oh boy.
Well, Rogers is. I will say this: one of my favorite memories of all time. We were doing what was the Final Four in New Orleans with the Brando show. And the CBS people hooked us up with the VIP seats for the Kiss show on the riverfront in New Orleans.
Nice.
And that was one of the best things that I've ever... Just watching him watch Kiss was worth the price of admission.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what it's all about. Well, welcome to Shreveport, sir.
No, man, it's great. Got up here late last night and, went straight to bed and then got up today, did a little walk downtown, and... Looking forward to it, man.
Yeah.
It should be a great event this evening.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Have you been to Shreveport, by the way?
Yeah. This is like my third trip up there. Yeah.
Okay. I just wasn't sure. The kickoff dinner is tonight. 5:30 is the cocktail hour. 6 o'clock. It's a cocktail hour, but it's only 30 minutes. I don't know what that means. The cocktail hour is 30 minutes long. 5:30. Doors open at 6. That's when they start serving food, and then the program will begin at 6:45 or a representative approximation thereof.
Facsimile thereof.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. That's kind of usually how these things work.
That's when he starts the heavy lifting around 6:45, 7 o'clock.
Right, and they go, all right, it's 6:45, you're ready to go? Oh, no, we're, we got to get this done. We got to get this done before we're ready to rock and roll.
Good.
And then I'll introduce Blair very briefly. Not going to give him any praise at all. We're just
really.
This guy.
Actually, you shouldn't. You should just talk about Devin White's numbers then say along the guy sitting next to him, Chris Blair. Go ahead. Take it away.
This guy over here.
Yeah.
But Devin White's the guest speaker. Chris is in to do the Q&A with him. It's going to be a great event. Going to be a fun night. They switched it from a luncheon to a dinner Yet last year, because of Drew Brees, Drew Brees was the guest speaker, and he couldn't do a lunch. He could only do a dinner. And it was so well attended, and people really enjoyed it so much that they just said, you know what, we're going to do it again. We're just going to keep it as a dinner because people aren't rushing to get back to work.
Yep.
The kids can usually be there, even if they're, even if it's, it is in the summer, but the kids can be there. It's a lot more relaxed atmosphere. I still sweat through my suit, even though they can't keep it cold enough in that room for me. Like, they cannot get it cold enough in that room for me.
Well, what I like about being dinner, and they told me that when they called a couple of months ago, and they said, hey, we had success with it as a dinner, and my thought was, that's great, because when I do lunches, and you've done them too, they just get up and leave. They got to get back to the office, so at least they won't, I'm not there. I don't have a lot of jokes. Again, Devin's going to be the star, but nobody's going to walk out if it's a dinner as opposed to a lunch.
Yeah, exactly. I will say this. We had Devin on a couple of weeks ago in the lead-up to this, and the first question I asked him, and I'm not telling you what to do, but I was really most curious about what was Daisy May going to do.
Oh, it's in there.
Okay, good, good. First question I asked him is, what was Daisy May going to, where was she going to be? Who was going to be to taking care of her?
I'm gonna ask him, when is she taking her trip around or her lap around Raymond James?
Yeah,
it's got to come up.
It's got to happen.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Pirates were not really known for horses, right? They did, they were on ships.
Oh, they'd steal them if they were there.
Right. I'm saying surely he can come out there with an eye patch and a sword riding his horse, right? Or they could do a Florida State thing.
Yeah.
Right. He could go in there and
full uniform and throw it down.
Go in there and throw a. What would you even throw into the turf?
Pirate flag.
Sure. Plant your pirate flag. Baker Mayfield.
The Jolly
style.
Roger.
Baker Mayfield style. Talking to Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers. All right, so we have similar schedules. Your schedule tends to run a little bit longer than mine because of baseball, but we have similar schedules.
It didn't last year.
One day.
Yeah,
it
one
did
day.
by one day.
You beat me by one day.
Yeah, you got out one day after I did. Look, I was not displeased that we lost that game either. I hated the way we lost, but I was not mad that we lost because I knew no one was beating Oregon State.
You didn't enjoy your time in Corvallis?
I loved Corvallis.
Oh, did you?
But I didn't. Well, I also went to the coast. And we did the coastline. We did the Thor's Well. We did the big scenic overlook. We did all that.
You got to get out of Corvallis.
Right, exactly. We left Corvallis, right? So I consider that all part of my Corvallis experience.
Right.
But it's a lovely, tiny town. And the weather was terrific, which is always
nice. Yeah, I agree there.
But it's the off season, although we know there's never really an off season. Mm-hmm. You're always starting to prep for whatever the next thing is. What have you been up to in the off season? What have you gotten away? Have you had a vacation? Anything?
I got a vacation coming up at the end of this month. What I like to do is take the family, go out of town, go enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
And then when I get back, like the next day is when it's back to work. Fall camp's underway and we're leading up to kickoff. But since baseball ended in the Super Regionals, this year I got a little bit, you'll like this, I got a little bit of help. I don't have to do a lot lot of prep because the opening game's against Georgia Southern. And I spent 10 seasons there.
Voice of the Eagles.
Coach Chad Lunsford was the recruiting coordinator when I was there. Yeah. So I've known Chad for a number of years. I got a chance to watch him a couple of times last year when the games didn't overlap. So I'm pretty familiar with it. So I'm kind of looking at Texas because that's going to be a big one in week number 2. But as far as game 1, we'll start some of that in August.
Yeah, and I've got to imagine the buzz around Baton Rouge has to be how nervous everyone is for game 3.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Well, that's what they're worried about because everybody in Statesboro that I've talked to have said, hey, look, we think you're looking ahead to game 2. And I'm like, no. Texas is saying the same thing. They're worried about game 3.
Yeah.
Like, are they going to put out a lot of what they'll do on offense and defense in those first 2 weeks? We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, you don't want to spoil your hand. You want to tip your hand to Northwestern State is all I'm saying.
I'm not going to go there. I love Northwestern State. Great people.
When the Demons come into town, you don't want to, you better be firing on all cylinders.
He works for them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just checking.
Yeah.
All right.
Actually, it's funny because I saw Orgeron when they came up for the coaches caravan thing that was up at Walk-Ons. And I saw Orgeron, and I don't think, of course, we all in Natchitoches call him Bebe because that's that we've all known him forever. Well, so I don't think Bebe, I don't think he could tell you what my name is, but he knows who I am because I've had him on it. We had him on at the McNeese game when he was there watching his kids, and we've done some Northwestern stuff where I've emceed some events with him and everything. So I'm not sure he knows what my name is, but he knows that I'm associated with Northwestern. So we walk up to each other, and I'm like, Coach, how you doing? I'll do good. Yeah, Northwestern State, you're a big fella. I remember you. Yeah, all right. So we kind of exchanged our pleasantries. Well, backstory, Northwestern played at Ole Miss when he was the coach at Ole Miss, and we almost beat him. I think it was 38-31 maybe, and we had a chance late and couldn't pull it off. And Orgeron was the coach at Ole Miss, and the guy named Scott Stoker, who's now the linebackers coach at ULM, was the coach at Northwestern. So we go in there, and I go up to Orgeron at the little dinner, and I'm like, Coach, look, just take it easy on us in week 3, all right? Just please don't kill us. Like, make it respect when he's like, look, Stoker almost got me fired. Like, we're going to be ready. I'm like, okay, all right, Coach, I appreciate that. Yeah, because Stoker did almost get him fired. And then our sideline reporter went to a bar where they were doing the post-game show and told everyone that he was Scott Stoker. And they asked him if he wanted to do their post-game radio show from the bar and grill because they wanted the Northwestern State coach on. I was like, only our sideline reporter would go and say he was our head coach and think about going on the radio. So,
well,
I don't
I'll
know
tell
what
you
Gordon
this.
does.
Yeah,
but,
I don't think Ed, without drudging up the past, the horrible past, it's like I've told my friends at Georgia Southern. They're like, it's different because, Georgia Southern, when they've played these type of games and stepped up in division, typically the last couple of years it's been like week 7, week 8. The win over Florida back in 2013 was the week before Florida and Florida State played. So it was late in the season. Florida had a difficult year, and then here comes Georgia Southern, an FCS school, quote unquote.
Right.
It's going to be different. I keep reminding them. Number one, it's the opening game of the year, and that's a big deal because it's the first Saturday that everybody can be at Tiger Stadium.
Yep.
Number two, again, based on recent history, there's no way in the world Coach Orgeron and this staff overlooking anybody.
No.
So
it can't. There's no possible.
They're not going to sneak up on the Tigers.
No,
not going to happen.
There's no doubt about that. Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, joining us. He'll be doing the Q&A tonight at the Independence Bowl Kickoff Luncheon with Devin White as the special guest speaker. All right, so you get the little vacation. We all kind of have the same schedule, right? We sort of take it somewhere in mid-July, especially when you're doing a sports talk show. You take basically we just take July off. Right, we're talking about whatever we can talk about, whatever we can get on. We're replaying interviews from weeks ago just to get through July, and then we can get back into August. How much are you able to? Obviously, you're in it day in and day out, but how much of what you do in terms of prep is just you've been keeping up on a daily basis? You read whatever, and how much of it is once you get to August, it's going to be okay. Now I got to kind of get down, sit down, kick everyone out, and let's get to the grind of really getting everything done.
Well, I think it's a little bit of both because, really until fall camp comes around, most of what I'm doing is reading. And it's typically the first 2 or 3 teams on the schedule. But anything college football related will be certainly on my radar. I like to go in during fall camp because I get asked this all the time. I get to go to practice. The media gets maybe 15, 20 minutes, and they move them all out. Well, I get to stay in there. And people go, oh, my gosh, I just want to talk to you. And I'm like, guys, I can tell you, I've been going to football practices since I worked at Clemson, Georgia Southern, and LSU. And when I walk out of that practice facility when they're done, I can't tell you heads or tails about what's going on. The only thing I like to go for is because I can sense attitude.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things I'm going to talk about tonight with Devin White is that when Devin was a freshman – obviously he was highly touted. People around here obviously knew he was destined for great things, but, I didn't know that. I was coming in with my first year. Just watching him at practice, watching the coaches interact with him between plays, talking to them about, improving, getting a better angle or, whatever the case may be. That's why practice is valuable to me because I get a sense of where the team is, where they're mentally, what their attitude is going into the week. So it's really a lot of reading. Just like any major sports fan. I mean, anybody who's interested in college football probably does the same amount of research I do this time of year. And then once I get back from vacation, the first week of August, then we really start to nosedive. And that's kind of when I go to my office on the 3rd floor there in the administration building, and I shut it.
Yeah.
I don't even know if people know I'm there because I don't want to be bothered. And I literally, that's when, the stuff from Sports Information I really start digging into. So I don't really start until the month of August leading up to kickoff.
That's about how it works. Of course, Northwestern actually starts early. We're Thursday instead of Saturday, so they actually report, amazingly, they report in July, which is just, I can't fathom the idea of kids reporting in July. Like
you tell them you've got stuff going on? I mean, did you mention it to them?
No,
a show? And
no. Look, I told
Chase barbecue all over the Southwest and Southeast.
I told all of the people when we qualified and we won the baseball tournament last year. I told everyone, they're like, okay, where are we going? Everybody's like, okay, there's the Austin Regional, maybe Baton Rouge, probably not. There's the Oxford Regional, Fayetteville, and I'm like, you know what? I want to go to Corvallis. I'm like, let's go through all the teams we think are going to host. We walk through them. I was on the road at the tournament. We walked through them, and I'm like, I want to go to Corvallis. And here's the thing, it should be about what I want. Because who's bringing you more publicity than I am? I'm up here on the radio talking about you every day. It should be about me. And let me tell you where I learned that from. And I bet you can guess. It was from working on the Tim Brando show.
I remain silent.
I learned that it was all about. I would never say that. I learned. No, he told me. He said I taught. Actually, we were playing golf yesterday, and as we're getting through, I said something about that, and he goes, "I taught you well. Always take credit." I said, "Well, thank you. That's what." How
did Dr. Lowe do yesterday?
He actually had a natural birdie.
Yeah, I saw that. But it was really a birdie.
It was a natural birdie. It was
no
a par
mulligan,
3.
No do-overs.
No, okay. It was a par 3.
Wow.
He hit it on the green. It was probably about a 15, 17-foot putt. Just rolled it right in. And
how did he do overall as the group? I mean,
he's fantastic. And by the way, I think he hit every fairway but one.
Wow.
Now he doesn't hit it a long way.
It doesn't matter.
But it was just it was a nice gentle fade every time. It wasn't
you ever go bowling with him?
I have. We actually did that last year.
Can you beat him?
Well, actually, last year, for whatever reason, he had a really – we're talking about Kent Lowe, by the way, assistant SID.
I'm sorry.
LSU.
Yeah, we were just having a side conversation here.
Talking about Kent Lowe, who we always had the Kent Lowe Invitational Tournament. Yeah, up here. He's from Jesuit. He was a former Mr. Blue Flyer back in 1971.
And it's a pretty exclusive golf outing because nobody called me. Nobody texted me. I got a bunch of texts from him today. Nothing yesterday.
Yeah, no.
Nothing.
It's an invitational, and I'm not in control of the invitations. So, so we went bowling. We did that as part of the Kent Lowe Invitational Tournament last year. We had a bowling round, and actually he lost to 2 of us. Crazy, and I don't think I was one of them. I think I might have been. Anyway,
wow.
Apparently he was dealing with some shoulder issues, and now it's even worse. So we couldn't bowl this time, but he's going to get the shoulder on the men, and we're going to bowl next year.
Yeah,
I even said 2 years ago, I'm like, can we put something in that Kent's really good at? Like, he's not a good golfer, all right? He enjoys going, and it's great camaraderie, but he's not good. I was like, can we put something in that he's good at so that he can whip all the rest of us at it? So we put in bowling, and it was fun. And we all beat Brando, which was, of course, what we're all.
Speaking of Corvallis, did you find good barbecue in Corvallis?
I did.
Wow.
I did. We went to a spot. It was just outside of town. I'd have to go back and look at what the name of it was, but yeah, it was about a 20-mile drive, I think, something like that. But look, I'm on brand. Blair, I'm on brand. I'm going to find barbecue wherever I go.
I see that on Twitter.
Yeah. So we're gonna find it somewhere, and if I have to figure it out, if we have to go search it out somewhere in the middle of nowhere, Oregon, we're going to go into the middle of nowhere. We found some at BYU. Played BYU in basketball. We found some in Provo, of all places.
Have you ever tried Black's in San Marcos?
Yes, sir.
What do you think? Thumbs up?
So Black's originally is from Lockhart,
right?
And I've been to that one. I've not been to the one in San Marcos, but it's the same restaurant. But the Black's in Lockhart, I think, is the best barbecue joint in Lockhart. And there's a lot of really good barbecue in that city.
I hear that a lot. Yeah. By the way, real quick story about Corvallis.
Yeah.
First night we got there, we find the church they converted into a sports bar, which is a story in and of itself. Yeah. It's an old church right in the middle of one of the downtown streets. We go in. Obviously, the guys I'm with all in LSU gear, and the waitress, young college lady, says, so you guys in for the LSU regional, And I said, yeah, we are. She goes, well, just so you know, we have jambalaya on the menu.
Oh.
And I was like, ma'am,
nope.
There is no way in the world. No offense, but there's no way in the world I'll be ordering the jambalaya here in Corvallis, Oregon. Thank you.
No, and that's when every time I go somewhere outside of the state of Louisiana and they have, it's either Cajun or blackened or something like jambalaya, I always get, why? I found it in North Dakota one time. I'm like, do you think I'm actually going to order this in North Dakota? I might as a joke. Just to try it and see what you consider jambalaya, but it's certainly not going to be something I do on a regular basis. That's for sure. All right, so LSU upcoming. I know there's, we Brady's in. There's a lot of talk about the offense is going to be new and different and faster pace and more spread and more modernized, all that stuff. But you know what? We've been told this before. This is something that Les said a lot when he was the head coach at LSU. But it feels like Orgeron is a guy that is willing to embrace whatever he thinks is going to win, and that's what's winning right now in college football. Give us some idea. Obviously, you saw a little bit of the spring. What do we feel like this is going to be with actually a veteran quarterback coming back? I can't remember the last time we said that with LSU.
Yeah, been a while.
Yeah, veteran QB coming back. Apparently an offense that's going to be updated. Ensminger seems like a guy who's willing to embrace that more modern style. What do you feel like the offense is going to look like?
Well, I think that the fact that you mentioned Ensminger, I think, is key, because what I love about Steve is that there's literally no ego there.
Yeah.
And I think Coach O said, look, this is what we have to be. We have to make defenses really struggle against us. They can't come in, game plan us the week leading up to the contest, and then stick with that game plan for 4 quarters. And I think at times, going back many years, I think teams have been able to do that successfully, especially when you match talent for talent, which happens on a number of times in the SEC each season. So I think what I like about this deal is that Steve, I think, because O realized Steve had no ego in the deal and said, look, if you want to be an offense that makes a defense work, not only coming into the game, but as the game goes along, having to make adjustments and having wrinkles they weren't prepared for, this Joe Brady guy may be a guy, if he's interested, that can do that. And I'm all good with that. He can come in, we can work together, we can collaborate. We'll have some of the elements that I know Coach O and Coach Ensminger want to have, and that's a physical offensive front and running the football. But there's also other weapons we have. And when you look at LSU, not just the last 4 years that I've been here, but go back as many years as you want, really, in the modern age of college football, they never had a lack of talent at every skill position. Now, whether or not they utilized and maximized it, that's another story. And I think with Joe Brady coming in and the tools they'll have at Joe Burrow's disposal, not to mention, as Patrick said, a guy who I expect to take really big steps from year 1 to year 2. I mean, let's face it, he arrived in June of last year and was basically handed, hey, this is your team. So while he did a phenomenal job, I think, in year 1, I think you really see another aspect of Burrow this year. Compound that again with the fact that they're going to open up the offense a little bit. I mean, I think we've got running backs that fit the mold of the LSU, line it up, smash you in the mouth kind of offense. But you got guys like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which I was excited to see, will be lined up in the backfield, but he's not necessarily there to take a tote and run between tackles. He's there to sprint off to the sideline, get in the flat, and we've all seen him when he's in space. I mean, he's difficult to come down with. So with Emory coming in, I'm excited to see that freshman because I think he's the type of guy that will be your between the tackles and the Leonard Fournette, Darius Geis kind of mold. But I think why would you have a guy like Clyde Edwards-Helaire not utilize him in some way offensively? And I think that's why there is this excitement, as there always is, but a little bit of optimism that this might be a different-looking offense come 2019.
Yeah, and it's interesting, talking to Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers, and it's interesting because when Northwestern got a new offensive coordinator who had all kind of it was at Tulane when Patrick Ramsey was down there and that whole group, and had a ton of success. Well, he comes in and he's running a spread. And he said, I'm running a spread, but I want to be the most physical team on the field. And I think people don't necessarily understand that. Even though you might spread it out, it might be your running game might be inside zone, outside zone, out of the shotgun. That doesn't mean you can't still be the most physical team on the field.
No, I think you're right. And I think that's not to get anybody out of sorts here, get angry at me, but I think that's why Alabama has continued to be successful, even though they convinced Papa Nick to open up the offense a little bit.
Yeah.
They still were the most physical team most days, most nights on the field. And, I think you're right. A lot of people think when you say spread, okay, it's a finesse-style team. But if you can provide that type of offensive scheme where you're keeping defensive honest, and, oh, by the way, they're getting hammered at the point of attack on the line of scrimmage, then, yeah, you'll be a pretty good football team.
I still think LSU, I think the biggest recruit that Ed Orgeron has signed every single year he's been there is Dave Aranda. Mm-hmm. I think, because Aranda, I know has had offers out there, and whether it's, head coaching at a a lower Division I level, whether it's, we're gonna break the bank and have you come be, A&M's defensive coordinator, we're going to pay you $7 million a year or whatever. He's had offers. and yet he continues to stay at LSU. To me, that is the number one guy that Ed Orgeron has been able to keep, and I think he's the guy that is really the linchpin of what they do. For those who are going tonight to the kickoff dinner, that's one of the things I really wanted to talk to Devin about, because I talk to people a lot about Dave Aranda and what amazes me. He's one of the guys that I watch constantly when I go to practice, and I'm fascinated by the way he does it, because Coach O, what I love about Coach O is he's the motivational guy. He's the guy. He's a lot of bluster. He's going to get you to run through the wall, and he's needed. And he'll go from, personnel group to personnel group within the practice facility when he feels like there needs to be some energy. Meanwhile, Dave Aranda over there, who we all, as we know, jokingly call him the professor, he's kind of over there. He's watching everything, taking all the information in. And then if he's got something to talk one-on-one with one of the guys, you'll just see him kind of slowly go up, get right into the face mask, and then they'll have a conversation. And all of us who are there attending practice, we'd love to hear what he's saying, right? But he's barely above a whisper, so we don't really know what he's saying. But you can't argue with the results. And he's not the stereotypical rah-rah, let's get fired up kind of defensive coach. When you think of a defensive coordinator, that's kind of what comes to mind. You think of the backwards hat. Yeah. Right, the guy that's on the sideline, in the back of the shorts. He's yelling. He's got the hat back. Like, that's always what I think of when I think of defensive coaches. But he's a brainiac. No, he's over there with his arms crossed, his hands on his chin, taking it all in. And then again, when he goes to instruct a player, you just don't hear it. You have to literally keep your eyes on him and see those coaching moments. And I just want to hear from Devin White how he feels being in that linebackers room, being in that defensive room for 3 years under Dave Aranda, why that style, as opposed to what we expect, has been so successful, not only at LSU, but everywhere he's been. Yeah, it's a remarkable story. All right, I know we're gonna let you go. We're not keep you here for an hour, but hey, I just want to tell you, I talked to my dad today. I called my dad. Okay. I said, guess what? I'm going to be on the big one today. Finally. See, my dad was an owner-operator in radio, so he's a kind of a radio historian. So when I talk about this radio station, he gets excited. So he's probably out listening in South Carolina right now, but we were talking about all the history of this station. Yeah. So, and again, we appreciate you guys carrying Fighting Tiger football, and it's a pleasure to be able to know that we're reaching the people we are with your guys' signal. So thank you for having me. Thanks to everybody for having me up in Shreveport tonight. I'm looking forward to it. Going to have a good time. Yeah, and again, please, you're the guy carrying the load tonight. I've literally got to be up there for like 20 minutes, and then I'm out. I got the easy job. You're going from what, 5:45 to what? How long will it go, 8 o'clock? No, it'll be 6:45 till probably about 6:45. Yeah, about 8:45. See, that's almost 2 hours. Yeah, and you got to do most of it. Yeah, but you got to do most of it. Don't look behind you, Rogers. There's a guy just measuring something behind us, so I don't know. Rogers always freaks out when somebody's in the window. He doesn't like when somebody shows up in the window. They must be getting ready to remodel. Apparently. They're going to give you a bigger studio. Yeah, that'd be the first. Yeah. I'll tell you what, how about just give us air conditioning? That's all we really want in this place. That's all. That's Rogers, good to see you, man. Good to meet you. All right, last question. Yeah. This feels like maybe this is sort of the cusp of perhaps a really special season. Is that kind of the feeling that is permeating Baton Rouge right now? Because, again, Burrow's back, Aranda's back, new offense. Does it kind of feel like maybe there's some real excitement that this could be that kind of maybe get to the playoff type year? Please don't hold this against me. And for anybody that's out there listening, I know this is going to come up if it doesn't come to fruition. But here's why I see it a little bit different. As I said earlier, expectations always through the roof. Sure. It just always will be. But because of the things you pointed out, Burrow coming back for his second year, which, again, a veteran quarterback getting to come back with success, that's the key. For a second year, it's been a while. Secondly, having seen what they did in spring, and I think what people will see, maybe not against Georgia Southern, but I think certainly in Austin, that it truly will be a more open, more versatile offense. I think for those two reasons, you take what normally is high expectations for the start of LSU football, and to agree with you, yes, I think it's gone up a little bit, because I think most people are buying in because Joe Brady is in the building. Yeah. And they know what Joe Brady was associated with in New Orleans. Say he came from the Giants or the Jets, they'd go and YouTube it and look at it. But because they're a lot of them, that is, invested in the Saints, they know it. And his name immediately had recognition. So for that reason, I think there are high expectations.
It's going to be a fun schedule. They got some really good games. Looking forward to seeing you. Looking forward to seeing my old friends from Georgia. And heading to Austin, I'll try to find you some barbecue. I know you know. You give me a couple of spots. I know you know.
Yeah, come on.
Is it out of a food truck or in a restaurant? Where's the best one?
Both.
Okay, all right.
I mean, you can find it anywhere in Austin. Like, you just turn around and throw a rock, and there's great barbecue in Austin.
I think people are excited for this year's coming season, and just in my humble opinion, which take it for what it's worth, I think it's for good reason.
Yeah, I agree with you. Chris Blair, voice of the LSU Tigers, joining us. Thanks so much, brother. Appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me over.
And welcome to our palatial studios.
Lovely.
It's more LSU. By the way, if you need to know what the 2012 basketball schedule looked like, it's over there somewhere.
Who did we play on December 17th?
Exactly. We don't have a new schedule, but we got all the old schedules. We got all that in here. All right, let's take a break. We're going to come back and actually introduce the show and get you all underway. But, hey, Blair agreed to join us quickly, and so got him in.